powers that want to essentially create what I term, and many people are terming now, called the woke right. We just defeated the woke left. We just defeated the woke left. But there are a lot of people who want to take old ideas that are centered around race, that are centered around statistics that have to do with white and black work, painting white and black narratives that don't get to nuances and don't actually address the root cause of things in society that you don't like to see. Be very careful of falling into that trap. Because if you ask me, it's the same people that designed the platform and the funding for the woke left. They're now experimenting to do the same thing to the right to destroy it too, right? And the reason why I believe this with my heart is because I don't actually see those who are now falling into that trap actually addressing the root cause of legitimate gripes with other cultures or with other groups within the, within America. And so that's what makes me, think that, there's a concerted effort to make this happen. So all I'm saying is be careful.
Situation is called.
Okay, what I want to do right here. Damn, Capone, I'm sorry, gang.
That whole per capita thing is just a, let's say, distraction from the greater issue, right? Because the issue I think Seventh was trying to show is that if you looked at all crimes, white and black, or blue and white collar crimes, the whites are doing numbers. They're doing numbers such that it's like innumerable, uncountable amount of transgressions and criminal activity that the whites are engaging in. And what they've done is they've played the old switcheroo distraction game. They said, oh, no, don't look over there. Don't look at those, security fraud. Don't look at those violations of all your civil liberties and rights per the government onto this citizenry. No. Look at Tyrone and that purse snatching. That's what you need to look at. And guess what? Whites are doing numbers in that area too. But when we compare the whites to the blacks, there's more blacks per capita than the whites per capita. See, they're the real problem, even though the whites are doing the numbers, right? So the issue is, are we trying to solve the problem, or are we trying to do a comparative analysis? Now, obviously, if you wanted to solve the problem, you have to deal with the whites, right? If you wanted to do a comparative analysis, the blacks are winning in that regard. But guess what? In the comparative analysis and the blacks having a greater percentage of criminalistic behavior, the whites are still doing numbers and putting everybody in a subjugation type situation that you don't want to be in, stealing out of your pockets, ruining your children's future, on and on and on and on, right? The real pernicious, cancerous stuff, right? The whites are doing those things. Tyrone's just like bothering you for the day. That's what he's doing, for the most part, right? There's some other stuff that'll ruin you for the rest of your life, but the whites are winning in that regard. Thank you. Have a nice.
Well, there's no question that the economic scale between the races and the whites are absolutely tipped in a gargantuanly larger category.
Yeah, why is that?
Why is that? But to be fair, I don't think that this is actually something that could be a big focus.
Shut up.
I don't think.
It was not a big focus?
I don't think black criminals something is something that got a lot of like attention. It's like, oh wow, this really needs to be addressed.
That's what the whole conversation was. That's the whole game. You created an entire segment to analyze black criminality compared to white criminality. That was what you wanted. What are you talking about? What do you mean? That's what we just did. What's up? That's what it's called. Oh my God. This is crazy. Own it. Y'all gotta own it.
The question
The point of that was to just like show, well, like, I think people kind of dissent from this idea that black people are more likely to commit crime than whites, and this is just like kind of like a clean way to lay it out, at least a better way than like what was tried when I was like before I proposed this.
Yeah, I agree. You bored the room, like, put your voice. I disagree.
I appreciate that. Okay.
Yeah, so there's two houses. Both houses have 10 people. And one house has 4 people that commit the crime. One house has 5 people that commit the crime. You can say the one that has 5 people that commit the crime is more dangerous. I'm going to use that word. I'm going to use that triggering word. More dangerous. There's no question about it. I don't know why we're arguing this. But then we're going to say, you know what? The house that has 5 crimes committed, yeah, it's higher. But then guess what? The one that has the higher number of crimes committed doesn't actually have 10 people. It has 20 people. Versus the house that has 10 people that has 4 people committed crime. This is why per capita is important. I know you guys hate the word per capita. I get it. It's a very triggering. It makes you feel like, no. This word was meant for just us. But no. Per capita has a purpose. So if I had a house of 20, a house of 10, and the house of 20 had 5 crimes, and the house of 10 had 4 crimes. Yes, it's true. The house of 20 has more crimes. But 6 out of 20 committed crimes versus 5 out of 10. Per capita does matter, and people in the insurance industry use these per capita numbers that you guys use so much. There's a purpose for them.
I think you got a good point. But I do think that where people go wrong is they take a blanket analysis, and so now it's like, okay, I think where you have to start looking is where do you deem there to be a threat to your own personal safety or well-being. And for example, if you are a white person and you look at black folks and you're like, okay, I need to know exactly what is the likelihood it is for me to be a victim of a violent crime. Well, you gotta look at who are the victims of black people committing violent crime. And as it is with most races, most recipients or most victims of violent crime are usually made a victim by someone of their own race, you know. And so now you have to almost look at, well, okay, then out of all the violent crime that black people commit, what is the racial breakdown? And you'll find that a lot of it is really just based off of long-standing, not just proximity by itself, but proximity in association with shit like, perhaps family disputes, gang disputes, things that happen, crimes of passion, that are relative to their environment. So when you see, if you're in bumblefuck nowhere and you see like a random black person and you start saying, oh my God, look at this, a per capita just walked into our store, and you just start fucking like having a meltdown. I mean, that is kind of like, that might be, maybe that woke right element that someone had brought, I think that might have been King earlier. We just started becoming a motherfucking like full-blown, I don't know. You just started becoming a fucking panicky freak, who you all of a sudden you don't want to go outside and shit. So, yeah, that's all.
Are we having a queue or is this over?
I think it's over.
I was trying to figure out what you just.
Oh, okay. Well, then we probably want to go. I'll just say that King, you've talked to Enoch before?
Yeah, so Enoch and myself,
was gonna do that.
along with Dewey. Oh my God. Harvey, you have something else you want to speak on?
Harper just wants to.
No. I just knew that he was gonna pass the buck and he was gonna do like the game show.
Nobody even talking to me. Who's cold?
I think he was gonna do the game show, like, Price is Right sort of thing, and just bring it on down.
Okay,
Right.
you're literally talking and concrete's clapping over
Shut
there.
the fuck
Anyway,
up, you racist piece of shit.
all right, be quiet, be quiet. Call me. Oh, you use the N word like all the time.
We had to do a small room one day with just Angela and freaking what's your name now, Harper. We got to do this for something because I've heard you guys bicker back and forth for like over a year now.
Oh yeah, but anyway, but King, I
I
you
don't
talk to you.
understand this.
All right, Harper,
I'm not understanding.
But King, you talked to Enoch. Did you guys talk about theism?
Harper, can you just celebrate whiteness, please?
Yeah. All right.
Please do. Yeah, so we did. So I don't remember us talking on any issue with God, but the way that he operates under the conversation that had to do with China, America, business, population, I wasn't very impressed. Now, Dewey can back me up because Dewey participated in the conversation too. I'm not saying Enoch is not. I'm clear that the guy is smart, but I think he sort of like uses his showmanship, which is a good quality to have. He uses that as a way to sort of cover up the fact that he didn't know a lot of things. Like for instance, the population collapse that's coming to China. There was a lot of things that he wasn't familiar with, but his showmanship got him places. So I'll give him that.
Wait until he employs his showmanship in theism. The argument you won't know.
And again, the guy's clearly smart. But again, I think it's one of those things where it's like if you're gonna have a conversation, then you're gonna do the whole confidence thing. Then at least know what you're talking about. So
Well, he said. He said.
I'm gonna be honest. So
He said atheism is manifestly true.
yeah, I'd love to see him substantiate.
You say he got exposed?
Manifestly, do you consider so if you say, for example, that the concept of God, like just merely trying to conceptualize God is a manifest falsity, I think that might be a better way to frame.
What do you mean by manifest falsity? What is that?
Well, essentially, it's inherently false and self-evidently false because it's inconclusive.
Yeah, that's just not true.
From out the gate, like when you try to define God and try to take on the approach of saying, "Hey, this is God and this is the God
Wait, so
that I believe in."
what's the
Let
word
him
you use?
finish, Solomon. We gotta hear him out.
Please, no. What did you say? Manifest falsity?
Yeah.
Right. So manifest falsity in the way you define it would relate to something like there are no elephants in serving in the White House or serving in Congress. Right? That's manifest. Like the words you use could apply to something like that. But how is
Does it have to
that
be physical or like
because I can prove inherently that most people believe, or it is actually true, that there are no elephants serving in Congress.
Has anyone ever proven that? As far as like evidence.
You said has
there are no elephants in the White House.
Has anyone ever proven that?
You meant that physically, right? Like there are no elephants physically in the White House.
How else would I mean that?
So has anyone ever proven that?
Yes, sir. Yes, there are no elephants currently serving.
Even serving, like the title of it, right? Okay. So as far as
so you can prove a negative. So I'm trying to see how you use that word combination to prove God doesn't exist. So.
Well, it's not a one-to-one comparison though. Your example is not going to be.
It is. Sir, I proved the negative. You can prove a negative. So I'm trying to see how you're proving God doesn't exist beyond using the combination of those two words.
You should. Well, but you're not. You can't just hold those two words exclusively to the way that you.
No, you gave the definition. Now,
yeah.
How does that correlate?
Well, a manifest falsity doesn't need to be something like, hey, okay, there are this many, jobs that are, in the executive branch, and no elephants serve in them. You can. It's like, okay, that's not the only way to say it's manifest falsity.
So Enoch, how have you proven? Just like
I've already checked right over.
That's what I told you.
Over.
How have you proven, Enoch, that God does? You see how I just proved elephants don't serve in Congress? That negative, I just proved that. So in the same way, show me God doesn't exist.
So let me tell you this, right? First of all, because I reject the premise that you're starting with as it is. And here's why. Because the premise that you're trying to start with and trying to get me to walk down is not the full breadth of what we're doing going on. The fact is, when it comes to the concept of God, God has
manifest falsity.
Yes.
You said that. I didn't say that. I'm telling you to substantiate.
And then you gave an example.
Hey, let him finish. Let him finish, King.
But yeah, multiple people. There's like desperation.
No.
That sounds like desperation. Because So when you say that there's a manifest falsity, there's an honest assessment that comes from saying, hey, okay, this is literally something that is either unfalsifiable. This is something that you literally cannot. How do I put this? Not just unfalsifiable, right? But it's unfalsifiable, and it's also, for lack of a better word, it's also something that you can infinitely shift the goalposts of. So, for example, when it comes to God, you assign yourself authority, and this is my premise in general. You assign yourself a lot of authority when you start to define God and say you believe in it. When you say I believe in God, and what God is a singular entity who is the creator of the universe and is the intentional governor of all things within the universe. Just by saying that, you make multiple assumptions that go without completely any substance. You are already saying, okay, this entity is a singular entity. This entity is willfully governing the universe. This entity does not have any help. You're not a polytheist. You're making a lot of assumptions based off of the definition itself. The definition is already relying on the inherent belief. It's almost like you're asserting God by defining it. And that in and of itself is a major flaw. Like, there's a structural flaw in the rationale to say, hey, God is
asserting God by defining him is a flaw.
Your assertion of by
no, he's saying you're asserting superiority.
Asserting God by defining him.
No, stop. You're asserting superiority when you say that. I believe.
Get out of it. Let them talk the one-on-one. No one needs to let him explain what he's trying to say.
Explain that to me. Asserting God by defining him is a flaw.
It's a flaw because the terms that you're using in order to lay out your definition of God is an assertion. If you just make an assertion and there's no substantiating those terms that you're using to make that assertion, then you have a structural design. Now you have multiple points to prove before you even get past the conversation of saying, hey, this entity is real. You have to prove that the God of the Bible is not more or less real than the polytheistic Egyptian lore.
So that's your
problem. Let them do it.
That's literally it. When you say God he is a entity that created the known universe. Nobody says God is a singular entity.
Yeah, nobody says that. So whenever we have this conversation, this is why I need to focus you, because you're all over the place. So if someone gives you a definition that corresponds with reality, what about that type of definition? Not a straw man like you just tried to do, but an actual textbook definition that theists have used for thousands of years to make these arguments. What about that definition?
Give an example.
No. Don't try to shift the burden, because what I'm still trying to see, you made the statement that manifests falsity, that God doesn't exist by that. So I'm still waiting for that.
So again, right, when you try to define God, every single iteration of God that's well known, even the polytheistic deities, you have to, in order to believe in them, you have to first make assertions within your definition based off of stuff that have no credible evidence. When you say, okay, I believe in the Egyptian pantheon, all right, well, that means that you believe that Ra and just a bunch of these other deities are basically more real and are as involved in the creation of the universe collectively, and you're making that assumption, you're making that assertion, and that comes in a direct conflict with the belief in a singular God, one track intentional creator to the universe. Now you go into the other continual qualities. Okay, well now they're also continually involved in the process of the universe. Some theists are deists. Some deists, they'll say, well, God creates the universe, but it might not regard the universe. It's not an active governor over the universe. Just in the definition, you have to break down the actual definition. If you give one sentence and say, hey, this is God, the words that you use within that sentence, which is what I keep trying to get people to understand, the words that you use within that sentence are assertions. They are assertions that do not come with self-evident truth. They actually come in the absence of truth. They come in the absence of evidence, of credible evidence. The closest thing that we have is, as a reference, is going to be basically the religious text of the carried down lore that introduced the person trying to define God to that concept of God in the first place. The problem with that is that I can do that for Harry Potter. The problem for that is I can do that for any other deity that I wanted to in a book that inspired me.
Yeah, so I want to be very clear. So what I'm hearing from you is you're using references like the Egyptian pantheon, Harry Potter, and all of these other fictional texts to essentially say that there is no possible way that God exists.
So what I'm saying is that the definition,
those are the things you brought up. You use the word manifest falsehood.
It's a reductivist.
And you're using Egyptian pantheon, you use Harry Potter, and some other things in the word salad to essentially present as evidence that there is no possible way God exists.
How did I use those words? Did I just randomly name drop them?
Those were your references.
How did I use them though? What was the purpose of them?
Manifest falsity.
Can you see how I brought them up?
Use those two words as a way of saying that you can prove God doesn't exist. And so when I asked you to substantiate that, you brought up the Egyptian pantheon, you brought up Harry Potter, and a number of other fictional texts as your reference for that proof.
You got blindsided by the names that were referenced, and then completely lost the logical track of what I'm bringing up. I'm mentioning the Egyptian pantheon because they're a very famous example of polytheism. But when you say God is, hey, this is God. He is the divine creator of the universe, and most of them usually say that it's a loving and well-wishing entity that governs over all actions within the universe. You got to start with each word that I just used. He is, boom, okay. That comes in a direct contrast with different pantheons that say, no, it's never been he. It's actually been multiple creators of the universe. It's actually been a demiurge. It's actually been this and that and the third. And that right there is like, okay, now how do you actually substantiate your claim of the singular God versus another claim from another belief system that once ruled the world that said, hey, there were like 5 or 6 gods, or there were like a Mount Olympus of gods? How do you say that your claim is more concrete than theirs towards that singularity of a divine being?
Yeah, that's simple, because our claims and our beliefs correspond much more with reality as it's been given.
How so?
Yeah, there's a number of ways. One would be obviously the life, death, and resurrection of Christ. But outside of that, you can also use some of the classical arguments around the kalam, right? The teleological, the moral arguments, the transcendental.
So you're summarizing there, but you brought up the
I'm giving you ways. I'm giving you ways I could substantiate that.
Well, actually, you're referencing.
I'm pretty sure you've heard these arguments before. But again, don't try to get away from it. Have you substantiated how you've proven God doesn't exist?
And that's been my point.
You made the claim of manifest falsity, that there's a manifest falsity in the nature of God's existence, meaning I can show you God doesn't exist.
But there's an absence of credible evidence when you bring up those examples. You didn't actually use any of them as credible evidence.
This is on your claim. This is not mine. You're trying to shift the burden. I'm trying to see how you're showing that God doesn't exist.
The burden of a concept of something is within the definition of that concept as it pertains to observable reality. You're the one who claimed that observable reality dictates that there would be a monotheistic deity that runs.
I never said any of that. I never said any of that, sir. I never said that. I never said any of that.
So why did you what do you say for life, death, and rebirth of Christianity of Jesus Christ?
For the audience, this man has yet to substantiate that manifest falsity in the context of those two words, that God does not exist.
I did. Manifest falsity.
And okay, so you're saying you did. So watch this closely.
Go ahead.
What was your evidence that God manifest in a manifest falsified way doesn't exist? What was your evidence?
The necessity of the definition of the concept that you are trying to say exists, right? Okay, God doesn't exist. Let's go back to your reference. There are no elephants that serve in the White House at this time. And maybe I'll shift it a little bit, right? I'll say
I don't have to.
You can hear this, and you'll like this. There are no elephants literally physically in the White House at this time. There's no elephants. Now, that's probably true, right? But can you prove it?
No. So
someone can go through the entire White House
my example. I know I used my example, so you couldn't do what you just did.
So there's a problem, right?
So stop playing games, sir. There's a reason why I said there are no elephants serving in the U.S. Congress.
I know why you said
or
that.
serving in the White House.
Because it was deceptive.
We can prove that. We can absolutely prove that.
Because who serves in the White House?
Prove that. So what I need you to do
is
absolutely prove that God doesn't exist.
You've played fully into my hand by using that reference, and you tried to be deceptive, and it ended up working against you. When you say elephants, there are no elephants that are serving in a position at the White House. You are taking tangible, repeatable qualities such as the list of jobs that are in the White House, the list of roles that are laid out and defined at the beginning of a presidency, and the human beings that are going to fulfill that role. When it comes to the concept of God, you have the privilege. If you're going to maintain the concept of God, you have the privilege, and most God believers abuse the privilege of the gaps that they are provided. They're able to say, we can't see God, and he's not here, but he's within every atom within us, and you can't see those either. You're able to shift perpetually and provide no repeatable, measurable basis to the claim of its physical existence. So your example, and you trying to bring an elephant serving in the White House. Maybe it's because you're like half listening, but again, you brought up an example of jobs that are in the White House, like the executive branch, positions that are in the
very clear. There are no elephants. You see how I made a positive claim for a negative thing. There are no elephants serving in the United States Congress. That is a provable claim. It's provable.
That is as provable as me saying there is no God.
You have evidence that God does not exist.
You have literally given me
manifest.
That's like me saying there is no God.
Whatever you use, manifest, falsify. Like it's some fucking fancy term, right? Some fucking fancy hotep shit.
So what is it?
So show me, substantiate that shit.
What is an elephant?
You have to substantiate it.
What is an elephant?
You brought up the Egyptian pantheon. You brought up Harry Potter. You brought up a couple of other fictional things. But I have yet to see how that substantiates that God doesn't. That's evidence that God doesn't exist. That's retarded.
What is an elephant?
I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to be. But Andrew,
what is an elephant? What is an elephant?
It's an animal, sir.
I'm down 25 points right now.
You said. How do I know that an elephant is an animal?
How do you know an elephant exists?
What do you mean, how do I know an elephant exists? What type of evidence would you need that an elephant exists? Do you need me to have a picture of an elephant?
With respect to yours, but also the listeners' intelligence, right? We can say that elephants
is bad, This is really bad, bro.
Andrew, what it sounds like he is simply making a case that you can't discover truth because all you have is comparison between marbles. He's not really making a case for like the non-existence.
No, that's not true. I'm going by the example he gave. So he gave that example. There are no elephants sitting in a position in the White House. So I'm asking you, what is an elephant? Now we all have seen elephants. We've seen them. We know somebody who's probably been in the same vicinity as one. Elephants are real. They're real, tangible things. You can count the number of elephants in a given place at a given time.
Okay.
That is already like dramatically different from you saying from the statement that there is a God. I can say there is no God in the universe. I got you. I can say that there is no God in the. I can say that there is no God in the universe.
No, you can't.
Okay, go ahead.
No, you can't.
Why not?
Because that's an argument for it's a straight up argument for
if you've never seen an elephant before in your life, and nobody else that you've ever met has ever seen an elephant in your life.
Do you realize the common denominator in every room are the atheists? The atheists actually are disagreeing with you. Like you're the denominator.
There's people who agree with me too. The usual suspects will.
Enoch, look at the chat. There's no one that agrees with you.
Enoch, how long you been an atheist, Enoch?
I'm not looking at the chat.
Let's make it a teacher moment. Can we make it a teacher moment?
That's right. We don't need to because you're trying to you're shifting the conversation.
Enoch,
right? You're trying to talk about something else.
Just listen.
Yeah, can we make it a teacher moment?
Great numbers, please, sir. You're essentially making an argument from ignorance. Antipas correctly pointed that out because, and respectfully, this is the logical conclusion when dealing with this, like going down the road and this path, you essentially start to deny anything happening before
That's not what I'm doing. You're cutting me off before then you're saying so
you're trying to establish that there's no way to know for certain that an elephant is what it is.
That's not what I'm trying to do.
Yes, it is.
No. You guys are absolutely. Let me try to. I just told you that elephants exist. So y'all didn't hear me.
He's trying to say that this is a defeated position because an elephant is like a material thing. And that's why I'm saying, look, there's an elephant. So since he's saying that there's a difference between a god and an immaterial thing, like and an elephant, a material thing, this isn't defeated for what he said. That's what it is.
We still have to show that it's impossible for God to be immaterial. That it's impossible for God to be made up of substance that's different from both immaterial and material. How would you show it? How would you show that is yes, you do.
I think one easy way to get to it is just to say that he was making an absolute statement. You can't prove a negative. And that absolute statement is undermined by this particular instance. So therefore, he's wrong. No, that's it. Because any other way,
God is not material. Let's continue to shift the line.
You told me to have this conversation, right? So that's what he said. The word back to that. What is happening?
Certainly we can find common ground with statements.
Never gonna learn.
So
He's never gonna learn if he doesn't actually.
Surely we can find common ground that statements.
Robert Francis Prevost, born on September 14, 1955 in Chicago, Illinois, is a prominent American Catholic. Robert Francis Prevost, born on September 14, 1955 in Chicago, Illinois, is a prominent American Catholic. Cardinal of the Holy Roman Catholic Church, and then after that,
you're playing this.
What you said was the ridiculous. It was arguing like it's coherent.
It's like you're saying it's ridiculous. Okay, let's get back to the actual logic, right? The actual logic doesn't agree with you. You're already saying, okay, well, God would be an immaterial entity. It would be immaterial. Okay. And that is already a shift on us first.
Yo, Ina, can you hold on a second?
Then refuse to.
No, not like in principle, it is possible to prove a negative, right?
Yeah, if you're honest, but you refuse to concede to the negative and the lack of evidence for the existence.
Claims like there is no blank are in principle provable.
As long as you're honest about it. So, because there's always a way, especially when you make an entity immaterial.
Well, there's not always a way, but those types of claims aren't principally unprovable.
For example, okay, there's no elephants that are serving a job in the White House or in the executive branch. What if there's a secret job, sub-job in the What if it's on the secret menu? What if it's on the secret menu of jobs? What if it's like an elephant that's honorary assigned to the Secret Service? Maybe
Extensive spending cuts alongside extended tax cuts. And I know you talked about it's currently debating spending cuts along. Congress is currently debating spending cuts.
What is the sorrow unexpressed that shadows those ecstatic lids? A star in the garter, what sadness closes in between your eyes and mine today, my queen? Do for our glance have come.
So if somebody says, hey, that's a very physical, transcendent, you can't see it, you can't touch it, but it's the icons. Now, what do you say to that person that says that? He's saying, okay, if you have an empty Coca-Cola box, then you can say that there are no cocaines in this box. So if someone responds to you and says, hey, there's an invisible, metaphysical, immaterial cocaine in this box, I can't use it.
If you set up the question in such a way that the thing that you're trying to prove cannot be proven, then you can't prove a negative. I mean, I agree with it. That's like really an interesting interpretation.
That's not the one that created a contradictory effect. You've heard of
Are you saying enough that this particular conception, that these conceptions cannot be disproven? Is that
sound to begin with, because if you don't understand anything, he supports that.
If someone says there is a spiritual, ethereal ghost hand in this box, there is no such hand in this box. Do you think that is an unprovable thing?
I mean, that's the manifest possible.
But because I answered the question. Stop trying to think ahead like 4 steps. We're not like this argument. It's time to go and just answer the question. That's so if someone says there is no if someone says there is no spiritual cocaine in this box, and you think that is an unprovable thing.
The box is empty, there are no cocaines in it. Is that unprovable? Is that your question?
No. Someone says this following statement: there is no ethereal, invisible cocaine in this box. Do you think that statement is an unprovable thing? There's so much in the world that is provable. There's someone just in the world that has been a long time.
Functionally interfacing with reality. Functionally interface with reality. Certain testimonies and certain premises from the lack of standing that come with them. The last time that I spoke on this topic, which is by saying what God is, by giving a definition. So say I'm a Christian, right? I'll say that God is, what is that? He is the intentional creator of the entire universe, who has no beginning and end, has a general wishes, It's something that I think a lot of people So if I say that, what we have to now do is look at the terms that I use just now to define God and say, okay,
Better follow.
Sure. So now your point of contention is, well, you still haven't proved your faults. But the problem,
Fraud history keeps on the Republican system. Those Republicans.
And we have to determine. We have to determine. Okay, based off of what we have been able to observe.
That's the thing. Dead to none. Dead to none. I guess.
The consistent properties that make up the universe as reality as we know. And all of the properties that make up everything from even going to Big Bang Theory to when we look at the properties of the universe. So we don't, right? But we have to go by what we do not just to understand. There's a universe that we have access to understand. Because again, right, if we go far enough out into the universe, that's what we can observe, and we can create anything into existence. So we are not as we know, I'm talking about like you can assume that anything is possible. The observable universe. You can say, hey, there's a theory that outside of the observable terms, and then you can like Elijah and say the dimension of the Egyptian pantheon. You can use Harry Potter or the Egyptian pantheon. That disproves God.
very devoted to all the nothing but football.
Like in a religious sense?
Yes. Yes. I no, yeah, not.
Hey, Nick!
Jamie Donald. I'm very, very interested in that talk.
Hey, Nick. It's me, Cindy Stumpo. I'm at a work construction site. I'm looking at over 50 workers. I don't know how many of them are Mexican or illegal. Doesn't matter to me. I'm building houses, Nick. The name is Cindy Stumpo. Here's my business card. Let me know if you want to invest. I got a great new startup for you. It's a technology app. It's information technology. It's going to be one of the biggest apps of the world. Cindy Stumpo knows. Just give me your money. And I'm going to go build another 100 houses with another 1,000 Mexicans. I'm Cindy Stumpo. Nobody fucks with me. I build houses all over the fucking place. I got thousands of fucking workers. I'm worth $400 fucking million. Do you know Grant Cardone? Do you even know who the fuck I fuck with? I'm Cindy Stumpo, motherfuckers. Do you know Grant Cardone and Nelson the Packer and Jonathan Bing? The Jonathan Bing. I'm fucking Cindy Stumpo, bitch. I run this town. Don't forget it. Here's my business card, Cindy Stumpo. Is this Cindy Stumpo, you motherfucker? Don't you tell me who the fuck can work at my fucking construction site. So you say he doesn't have his fucking papers? Here's my fucking business card, Cindy Stumpo. You can call my attorney.
I wouldn't do that if it wasn't for you, Nick, but that shit is funny, isn't it? It's really funny. So I'm live streaming this on a whole bunch of different platforms. I'm about to record some poetry, some powerful magic hypnosis. And I've been playing music now on YouTube and on Clubhouse and creating music content, and it's going pretty good. You know why, Nick? Because I put on a Pepe mask with a Trump hat, and the videos are going viral. And I'm calling myself Mr. Iran Tehran, and I'm basically pulling like a Borat, and I'm pretending to be like an Iranian. You know, everybody. I don't know if you know this, Nick, but when I was in the 7th grade, I was the president of the United States of America in the play called Annie. I was Franklin Delano Roosevelt in the 7th grade. And isn't that kind of crazy? Because I beat out 8th graders for the role as the president. And it was because of my audition. It was because I practiced. I practiced the scenes, and I improv'd as well because, you know, things were nothing big, but I had to sing a song. I sang Tomorrow. FDR sings Tomorrow and Annie. That was my song. Tomorrow, tomorrow. I was so fucking nervous. I was like, how is this even possible that I can sing this song? But, you know, when you're a young prepubescent kid, anybody can sing a song because it's just kids singing, you know? It's like, it's not opera. It's fucking kids singing, and, you know, it's hypnotizing. So I was an early hypnotist in the 7th grade. Our our music teacher's name was Dr. King Cohen. I don't know why the fuck he had the doctor title, but he was teaching music in the 8th grade, and he was a doctor. And he wore a toupee, and he looked like he was about to pop. And, you know, he really did know music, though. He was like a real conductor. It was kind of amazing. Some people really know music, because it's technical. But not me. I fucking build. I've been building houses for 55 fucking years. And this is Cindy Stumpo. Here's my fucking business card. I got an app for you I want you to look at. I want you to invest in this young kid's app. He's an up-and-comer. Let's be honest. He's a fucking up-and-comer, this Nelson Apega kid. I showed him how to lie on a mortgage application 10 fucking years ago. This kid has taken out $55 fucking million in mortgage loans because of me, Cindy Stumpo. You don't have to be honest when you file. You gotta be honest when you gotta settle. Let's be honest, It all comes down, because once you got the fucking money, then the lawyers and the banks, and I'm fucking Cindy Stumpo. I got 5,000 fucking workers at 35 construction sites. We're competing with the biggest home builders in America. Hortons. Home builders. Talk to Grant Cardone. He knows how much stress there is in building fucking homes. When you gotta deal with the subcontractors, the general contractors, the managing brokers, and the fucking real estate agents. I fucking hate them all. My name is Cindy Stumpo. I basically created the home builder model. I'm an early innovator. Not many people know this. Grant knows this story, but I only told Grant this because I tell the young kids good things so they can follow in my fucking footsteps. And that's why I tell all my friends to invest in Nelson Apega's incredible Cheddar app. Because Jonathan Bingham, he fucking rebroadcast Cheddar into fucking Clubhouse. And nobody even uses fucking Clubhouse anymore. There's no fucking party hats. But you go to Cheddar, there's a lot of fucking party hats. So what does that tell you? That means people, you're going to want to invest in this Cheddar app. Let me refer you to my friend Jonathan Bingham. He's got all the details, and he'll give you the investor perspective. You'll have to sign a non-disclosure. Also, of course, we'll have to qualify you as a registered investor. So if you don't have a minimum of $250,000 liquid capital, we're not going to be able to work with you. I can show you my portfolio. You can show me yours, but mine is bigger than yours. Let's be honest. I'm Cindy fucking Stumpo. I got 3,500 fucking Mexicans working right now, and Trump is busting my fucking balls, but let's be honest, I'm happy he's kicking them out. In fact, I fucking doxed all of them with fucking ice. With fucking ice. I told them exactly where they were. ICE agents came and picked them up. I said, don't anybody say nothing, or you ain't gonna get paid. It's Friday. That's what I told all my fucking workers. I'm fucking Cindy Stumpo, and here's my business card. This is like my Tim Dillon impersonation of Cindy Stumpo. That would be a funny video, right? Yeah. This is why, like, doing these performances and not filming them are, it's the definition of insanity to, like, not record this stuff. It just takes too much energy to do these Cindy Stumpo impersonations. It's probably I think it's one of my funny impersonations, the Cindy Stumpo impersonation. Stumpo, what a fucking name, Stump. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Americans are amazing. Because it is like a question of willpower in so many ways. Because a lot of it is performative. Because there's people who really do the work, and then there's people who just like do the management, supervision. So You can fake it till you make it. I mean, the thing is, I just can't even imagine Grant Cardone worrying about a tenant, you know, who caused some property destruction at one of his 800,000 apartment unit complexes. I mean, it's like, dude, at the end of the day, you're a fucking investor at some point. I mean, if you have a portfolio of 100,000 apartments, you know, it's like, I mean, I don't know. I met somebody once in college. I was the president of the investment club, and he just came in. It was Nick. It was literally like our college alumni, Cindy Stumpo. He came in. He's like, "This is the equation, you fucking idiots. This is the fucking equation. I used this fucking equation my whole life to acquire over 80,000 apartment complexes in the southeastern United States, you little fucks. You see this fucking equation? This is the fucking equation. I don't buy shit if this equation doesn't have this fucking number, motherfucker, or less." And I was like, So that's your whole presentation to us? Interesting. I still can't, I don't even know what that equation was, but obviously it was like a cost benefits analysis equation. I mean, you know, okay, now you get the ratio. It's like, there's so many other components. He was a cool guy though. I mean, all business. Yeah, I saw Tim Dillon here in Chicago at Rivers Casino. He took this really hot chick. I don't think she was impressed because after she gave me a kiss at the end of the night, I was like, my grandmother kisses better than you. But yeah, Tim Dillon was very funny, very, very funny. I recorded it. I think I put it on Clubhouse when I was listening to it, but neither here nor there. He is one fat piece of shit. I should go to the gym and not be a fat piece of shit. But you know what's cool about Clown House now is if you get kicked from a room, it automatically bounces you to a new room. So that means it's like I can walk away. I can walk away because of the preview function, and it'll just constantly play Clubhouse, which is exactly what I've always wanted. This is the world famous Prince, Palestinian terrorist piece of. Imagine. See, I just got kicked. Oh no, now I'm in the room. I didn't even touch the phone.
والله نزلتوه شو؟ منزله
بطل تبغانا نسب البحرين نسب الكويت بس ما راح نسب
يا عم انت ليش؟
Guys, what is your mouth and you use a syntax to communicate a word that you don't create, you are communicating in a language.
He's a chihuahua and a dog, and our dog's canines, and our canines.
They've been breeding like humans for a long time, like, especially in the slave times. They were breeding the slaves and shit to make them more like stronger and bigger, you know. Same thing as genetics. It's like when you do a hybrid with the marijuana, when you do two strains and you hybrid together, we're messing with genetics.
They took him out though. He good though. Ooh. Yeah.
Funny with the money, yo, you got me mistaken, honey. I don't want to rape you. I just want the paper, the visa, capisha, around like the papers. Who the head honcho, slick like Rumacho, cool like Camacho.
For like Senator of Mayor Chicago, shit like that.
I'm scared to look at my foot.
Literally
He's like, you're running for, what did he say? Something about the mayor of Chicago.
Tweet about.
All right, Nick, we in the spot.
After the rally,
We in the clip. We with Jonathan Bingham.
tweeted the conference of
We not Daphne. I would have got church. But they got Daphne was there to save me. I love you, Daphne. Welcome to the Dalson of Paga and the Cindy Stumpo Grant Cardone. We are live streaming chillism. I mean, AKA chatter. Auntie Clown House and Banker down.
Didn't get the memo. He came out here on his podcast and he put out there that no, he likes it. So now, in the coming weeks here, soon as he walk it back, and he'll tell you how much he hates
This room is called First American Pope is Chosen. Trump appoints Puro. Debate the news.
With that being said, no, listen, you guys.
Is this the definition of brain rot? Because that's like the point. Is to like record brain rot. I think this app is just full of it. It's literally, I think, low IQ people repeating themselves. And
absolutely. I'm here.
you can definitely tell people don't read books here because they're just repeating themselves all the time. I mean, it's like that guy King and Chillism. I think we're like dealing with people that are living in like assisted living facilities or something, like Down syndrome facilities throughout the country. There's got to be like, you know, think about how many people work in special education, like work with Down syndrome people and autistic children. I think that's who is like using this app because clearly none of them work. I mean, I don't work, but like none of these people work. So like, are they living in Down syndrome facilities? Like, who are these people?
I think that Francis was pretty progressive. There are a few others that I do know of, so I'm not exactly sure, but I still
what do these people really do? I just wish there was like more profile index data about every person, who they are, where they live, what their net assets, like what their
I think that this is the way
total
the
net
Catholic
worth
Church
is.
is giving a middle finger
What kind of car they
to
drive.
what is
Like,
happening in American
that's the
politics.
cool thing about
This is
data
their way
is, you know, if, like you were really examining
basically
someone's
saying
personal tax
that
returns.
we're going to pick a person
That's like the
that
most intimate
can
thing. And the
present
crazy
a
thing about a
different
tax return
narrative
is
on the
it's
global
all
landscape.
subjective,
So a couple of things very
and
quickly.
people just want to risk when they file. I
Leo
mean,
14.
you know,
So he
especially if
is
you're doing that Section
anti-Trump
C.
as they
I mean,
get.
it's like
Okay.
you never see it in the news, but there's a
So
lot of people that lie on their
several
tax
things
returns
when
and
it
take
has
huge
come
deductions and like pay no
Trump's
taxes.
stance on
And supposedly
immigration,
they're raising the tax rate
also
so like
on climate control, also on
and it all just goes to
racial
a
issues.
fucking
He
warehouse
condemned
in an
violence in
underground fucking
Charlottesville.
cave in caves.
He had
Just like
opposed
all the
Trump's
federal
Muslim
employee
ban.
jackets that sit
He
in that
has been
fucking
very clear on
non-indigenous thing.
supporting
Anyway,
racial justice, particularly after the murder
We'll
of
probably
George Floyd. I mean, he is, and
I wish
he's
I had
also
my
spoken
belt.
out against J.D. Vance
I'm
and the mass deportation policies, and then Vance's attempts to use Catholic doctrine to justify them. So I think that this is not a good thing for MAGA. I think this.
You can imagine it. It's not there.
How far away is
Just coexistence with Elton Armor and her ball
actually
thing.
Mills? I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mills. They're even smaller than a millimeter.
Yeah, it's 100th of a millimeter.
Nick, if you didn't come in here, I probably would have been reading a book already.
Engineering and metalwork, yeah.
But the Cindy Stumble thing is just too tempting.
Measurement is your choice. Oh, fantastic. That'll solve everything.
But I would only do it for you because you're the only person who says, hey, Edmund, do the Cindy Stumble impersonation. You're the only one. So it's like, clearly my comedy's not taking off, right? Like, you're the only person asking to hear Cindy Stumble. Like, I don't have an audience. Like, Tim Dillon's got an audience. I got no audience.
You know, that's I believe. I thought Cindy Cobb. Maybe
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you might
think we're in Bergen territory.
Right.
You ever seen a Muslim fashion show? No, me neither. But I imagine it looks like a whole bunch of black bed sheets walking around stage.
They're like
Yeah, there's other colors.
cerulean or purple or
There must be other colors.
Yeah, just a splash of
Like
color.
Versace hijab.
Exactly. Like I had
Gucci
somebody
hijab.
going. I said Tom Ford was doing a burqa line for fall 25. And somebody was like, "Really?" Like, yeah. Matching shoes too. You just can't see them.
What's up, everyone?
Did you see the Met Gala with the Hindu guys dressed like, you know,
that was very disappointing.
Indian Rajas or whatever?
It's just I feel like
extreme
What
Muslim.
was disappointing, me or him?
Him.
Oh, I thought I took care of him, but it was just like and he's an American.
You should have heard this guy. He goes by the doctor, the bad doctor, not the doctor responsible. He's the doctor irresponsible.
Yeah, he was holding court with Edward.
Edward is reasonable, and I think I like Edward, but he holds company with some unsavory characters.
It's your right to be lonely.
That's what it says unsavory.